Hello and welcome to Pause for Payments. My name is Kristy Duncan. I'm absolutely delighted to be chatting today with Debopama Sen, who is head of Treasury and Trade based in Singapore at Citibank. Welcome, Debo.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here, Kristy.
It is my absolute delight. So today we're going to talk about careers in this industry, and Debo has a fantastically successful and really interesting career journey that she's going to share with us. And we know that the road to success in any organization is paved with a lot of hard work, perhaps a little bit of luck, and of course, some inspiring leadership. And the pandemic has really changed the profile of leadership and what it looks like in this industry and beyond. So, Debo, you've been with Citi for many years now, and you've worked in several different areas in a number of different countries. Can you tell us a little bit about your career path there and how you got to your amazing role now?
So I joined Citi about 25 years ago as a management associate. And I worked in different roles. I've done sales, product management, business management, operations across different products. So I've worked in trade, I've worked in payments, I've worked in security services, which is a very different industry, but equally exciting. And I think the amazing client franchise and the globality of Citi really gave me the opportunity to work with world-class talent, amazing partners, and world-class clients who are all global in nature. So it's been an incredible journey. And even when I was in India, I was able to travel and meet with our global clients all over the world. And I've been in Singapore for the last few years, looking after the ASEAN and Singapore part of our Treasury and Trade Solutions business, which also gives me access to a wealth of diversity in terms of business, governments, cultures, trends, which makes it all very exciting.
Fantastic. I love that. You've seen the world and really helped connect all of us and your clients through this amazing organization. So when we look at women in financial services, Deloitte's taken a study in 2019 and found that globally, the percentage of women in leadership roles in financial services was about 21.9%, almost 22%, which was projected to grow to 31% by 2030, which is still below parity. And we've been working on this for a long time. It seems like we're going at such a glacial pace. How do you, as a leader, encourage and motivate the next generation of women to really consider and help build their careers in this industry?
Well, I think the world of payments, the world of financial services, and indeed the world of commerce, Kristy, is just in the midst of such a paradigm shift and such a fundamental shift. And in the last 18 months, we've seen probably a half a decade of change squeezed into 1.5 years. And today we have the ability to make an impact to the lives of individuals and to businesses using our knowledge and our skills and our networks in a way perhaps we didn't have the opportunity before, because both technology and adoption have taken a quantum leap. So I think if you are, what I would say to a lot of the women who are looking at careers in payments and financial services, that if you have a curious bent of mind, if you thrive on change, if you are passionate about technology and you wish to make an impact, then this is really the place to be.
It's such a dynamic industry, you're right. And there's so much opportunity. And we as women bring a different perspective, which is so valuable in helping to build great products and services and have that global perspective. So you're encouraging, and I totally support your approach to having women help them build their careers and get more women into this industry. Can you help us with sharing some of the hurdles that you've faced as a woman in this industry and how you have faced those, Debo?
Sure. I think, a lot of the hurdles that all of us individually face, it's quite similar when we talk to people in our networks, when I talk to women in the industry, in the organization and around us. I think part of the hurdles are related to the new world that we're all facing, where the need to manage sort of the boundaries between home life and work life have blurred, has become a lot more important because the lines have been blurring. And I hear this from a lot of working parents, both women and men, that it's been hard to manage that whole transition. And when we talk to the women in our cohort, we also feel that sometimes we have to encourage them a little bit more to speak out about their achievements. We have to encourage them a little bit more to put up their hand for the leadership roles. And we also, come across concerns of how do I transition back from a career break? How do I transition back from maternity leave, which sometimes can be a long break depending on where you are. So I think there are a number of things that we try and do. I mean, at Citi, this is obviously very close to our heart. We are very committed to diversity and increasing representation in senior roles. And I think some of the measures we adopt are focusing on these issues. So we have a very extensive maternity matters program where we try and, Kristy, we really try and address the concerns of both managers and women who are coming back from maternity. We have a very interesting and thriving return to work program where we are trying to bring in more and more women who have taken a career hiatus for various reasons. And we also find that the power of the network is very strong. So at Citi, within Asia Pacific, we have about 33 employee networks, which include women's networks and other affinities. And these networks become a great place to connect, a safe place for people to get inspiration and also to ask questions that you don't want to ask any others. So I think this is sort of related in a way to our commitment at Citi to increase representation. As I said, we were also one of the first ones to disclose both our adjusted and then subsequently our unadjusted pay equity gap. And we've been disclosing that every year ever since, and we've been closing the gap. So again, a lot of measures that we are taking, but definitely this is something that we've got to keep working on collectively as an industry.
I love that. It's so important, and bringing that gender pay gap into the fore and talking about it and demonstrating that you are doing something about it is fantastic. So much needed across this industry and around the world. I love the whole support that Citi is giving to women with your return to work programs, with your networking opportunities to connect with others and learn and inspire each other. That's just absolutely fantastic, Debo. So in terms of moving forward, how has a virtual working environment impacted the whole question of inclusion? Can you talk a little bit about that and maybe give us some idea of what it might look like going forward to promote greater gender inclusivity?
Yeah, I think the health crisis has debunked a few myths about working from home and the fact that everyone can be very effective working from home. And I think we are looking forward to a hybrid workplace over time. I think that's going to be the reality. And the flexibility, which I think is so important to so many women at different life stages, I think that's now going to be something that's going to be here to stay, which is one of the good things that's come out of the health crisis. On the other hand, lines do blur sometimes, and we hear that from a lot of the folks in our teams, that the lines between work and family and just, sometimes home care responsibilities tend to blur. And I think, again, our networks are helping a lot with strategies and support systems to our teams to try and deal with that. Having said that, as a leader, I get my energy from meeting my teams, interacting with people, meeting our clients and traveling, being out there. And I think that is something we all miss. I must admit that I'm still looking for alternative strategies to effectively make up for that. And it's not always easy. There are only so many Zoom calls you can do in a day. And I miss that little chat on the way to the airport and that little coffee while waiting for a meeting. And I think we've got to find those opportunities to mentor, to sponsor, and to connect with each other and make sure no one's getting left behind in this virtual world. And I think we're still in a way learning about how to do that better.
Yeah, such great points. And yes, you're right. There are only so many Zoom calls we can do in a day. But it is really inspiring to see how creative people have become over the last year and a half. And going forward, who knows how long this is going to last? It seems to be a pandemic that'll never end with so many different variants popping up, it seems. But we will survive, and we are creative and able to manage through this incredible adversity. But when we look at women's careers in particular, we all know that it takes a lot of hard work to build a career. It's not just one and done. You got to keep at it and keep, trying to get some feedback and understand where your strengths are and where your opportunities to learn and develop are. And some women find that it's a challenge to build their networks. It's a challenge to find supporters, but they also lack or crave mentorship. And you talked a little bit about mentorship. Can you tell us a little bit more about how mentorship has played a role in the shaping of your career?
Absolutely, Kristy. I think I've been really fortunate in my career so far to have some amazing mentors, both men and women, who have, I think, one, inspired me to reach for my potential. And every time I said, oh, I don't think I can do this, which as women, we tend to do a lot more often than we should, they've always said, no, why do you think that? Let's talk about that. Why do you think you can't do that? So I think that's been a big part of the inspiration that I've got from my mentors. The other thing, which I think is really important, is that they help me at times create a safe place where I can make mistakes, where I can recover from a setback. And I think that creation of that safe space with a mentor is so valuable. I'm a big believer in paying it forward, so I try and do that as much as I can. The other thing related to mentorship, while it's not exactly the same concept, is that sometimes you don't have to mentor someone one-on-one. Just being a role model is good enough, because all of us, and me most of all, I think there are days when you want to look across and say, you know what, if she can do it, so can I. Right. And I think along with being mentors, if all of us can be the best role models that we can, I think that would go a long way as well.
I love that. It's so true. The concept of you can't be what you can't see. And I know I struggled with that when I was at a big bank many years ago, that there were so few women leaders. There's so few and far between. And they were so lofty. And I just thought, oh, I will never get there. They are really, really tough and really, really smart. And I could never do that. It was just this incredibly daunting and discouraging task. So I never tried, but thank you for doing what you do and paying it forward and being that role model for so many young rising stars in our audience. Debo, I want to close this discussion. It's been fantastic. I'd like to close by asking a question that I ask all of my guests on Pause for Payments, and that is, if you might share some of your pearls of career wisdom. And I know we've talked a lot about some of the fantastic things that you've done and how you pay it forward. But for the rising stars in our audience, what career advice would you give them?
I think a couple of thoughts. One is you can absolutely do anything you want to do. I think, and there are days when you will feel like you cannot, but you will always be able to recover and come back to that moment where you know that, I got this. It's so important to create a support system around you, because you do need someone occasionally to remind you that you got this. And I think that has worked really well for me, just always having that support system. And the support system does not have to be a senior support system all the time. It can be your peers, it can be somebody in your team. You'll be amazed at pearls of wisdom that you can get from somebody in your team. So just always having that little safe space is wonderful. And the other thing that I try to live by, Kristy, is that it's a long race, and eventually the only race really is with yourself. And if you can be better every year, every day, every week than what you were a week ago, a year ago, or a day ago, I think that's something to aspire for.
I love that. I've never heard that before, but they're such wise words. Thank you for sharing. And I like you mentioned this a couple of times, this safe space. And that's also really important, to have a space where you can feel comfortable and make mistakes and not be able to recover from them and learn from them and continue to make your way forward. That's fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing this, and thank you for doing what you do, being who you are, and encouraging all of us to do anything that we want and to find our support systems through our peers and our networks and our mentors, and do that race with ourselves in our own life and career journeys.
Yeah,
it's been a
and
great
with
discussion.
with networks like Women in Payments, which is what it's all about, isn't it?
Thank you.
Thank you for
Well, we
having me.
do. It's been a pleasure. Thanks so much, Debo. It's been a great discussion.
Thank you.
And we look forward to other discussions. I encourage the audience to tune in for discussions with many amazing women in the world of payments like Debo, and look forward to seeing everybody next time.